YouTube? It's again about aka Genius YouTuber 27, and today I'm back with episode 6 of Mission Spaces. If you haven't watched the first 5 videos, be sure to check them out before you check this video. So then on what trail we're going on. The links will be in the description below. So with that, let's get into the video. So today we'll be talking about my favorite planet and the fifth planet from the sun. Just say, guys, the fifth planet from the sun, Jupiter. Jupiter was named after the Roman king of the gods, Jupiter. As the name suggests, the journey to Jupiter takes place in the following manner. First, we here at Earth launch our rockets. They cross Mars, and then fly through the asteroid belt, which is a belt of asteroids and other debris which were not close enough to attract and form a planet. So instead they became a giant belt of asteroids between Mars and Jupiter, and it also borders the inner planets, Mercury, Venus, and Mars, and the outer planets or gas giants that are Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. And also Pluto, but I really neither consider it a planet nor a dwarf planet. I actually call it a semi-planet. Jupiter is also the largest planet. It has a diameter of 412,980 kilometers. That is so gigantic. Can you imagine that? It is far away from the sun. Like very far away. At 778,412,000 kilometers away. Even though Jupiter has the shortest rotation time of any planet in our solar system at 9.9 hours, which by the way is a time difference between the extreme west coast of the USA and central Russia. But it has a super long year at 11.9 years long. That is due to the distance from the sun, which I just mentioned. That is so much, like that is around 2 years more than my age. I am almost 10 and a half almost. So let's leave my age behind. Let's go into Jupiter's anatomy or whatever it is. Jupiter is freezing. Literally. Like it is minus 148 degrees Celsius. Jeez, I thought 9 degrees was cold. That is too much. Jupiter has crazy weather. This minus 148 degrees Celsius is only the start. For example, crazy electrical storms which flash so bright that from a telescope you can see them if you can spot the planet Jupiter in the night sky. There is rain of diamonds due to the atmospheric pressure which crushes down on all the materials that fuse together to make a diamond. And the diamond, as it falls down, slowly as it goes down, the temperature rises and it slowly goes towards the core. Since it's made of gas, it is basically a free fall dive towards the core. And by what we think, down there, the hydrogen and helium and all the other gases that make up the core might be in solid form. So, when the diamonds go down, they might melt. And what happens when you liquefy and hit a solid surface? It collects. And as it collects, the gravity of the core pulls it towards the core, not allowing it to escape very different life than most of us planets. If this hypothesis this theory is true. Stellar theory is a very long and a very strong theory, so let me just put that down. Yes. So, Jupiter, the prophecy, or I should say theory, is that when the sun, was formed by a disk. If you want to know how stars are formed, check out episode 2. The disk, when it collapsed, most people think that since other stars, which we know, 90% of them have a multiple star system with at least 2 stars. These are known as binary pairs, which orbit each other in a hypnotic trance. But what happened to the sun? Why is it alone? We think that it actually had a binary pair. But since there's no evidence of a real-life star, we turned our eyes on the next possibility, and what was it? It was the gas giant Jupiter. Jupiter? Why did it think of this planet? Why not things like Saturn or Uranus or Neptune? The reason is they're all made of different gases, and in what proportion the gases are is much different than compared to what a star needs. Hydrogen, which is its fuel, and helium, which it gets converted to. The planet Jupiter, it has so much hydrogen and helium in it that most of its gases are only hydrogen and helium. Most of its gas is content. And if that planet was just a little bit larger, it could have become a white dwarf or possibly something even more powerful. Well, the possibilities are endless, so vast. Like, for example, it's not related to this topic, I'm just giving an example of an endless possibility. Earth could be a galaxy. That is a possibility. We shrank inside. That is a possibility. But we don't know for sure if it's confirmed or not. So the theory was that the sun, when it got together, it got a head start, collecting 99% of the matter in the cloud. Jupiter, even though it formed late, it still tried to live up to the potential that any star would have. It raced to beat its brother and collected 2/3 of the remaining matter. But as I mentioned in episode 2, to be a star, the core temperature of that ball needs to reach a certain mark so that the hydrogen ignites and starts to form into helium. Well, the sun was one such case which successfully completed this challenge. But Jupiter, poor little Jupiter, did not reach the temperature. So it became a gas giant, the largest planet in our solar system. Jupiter has one more crazy thing, which is so prominent that in any image of Jupiter, even from some of the weakest telescopes, if you point to Jupiter, you can see a giant red-colored spot on the southeastern point around Jupiter's bottom. It actually is not a cloud of any gas. It is a vicious 300-year-old storm, the size of 3 Earths. 3 Earths, 1 storm. And we think that our hurricanes are big. That's crazy. Seriously. That is ginormous. That is the only word I can find which properly fits this storm. And speaking about clouds, why does Jupiter always have a stripy, blurry pattern? That is because the winds on Jupiter, They blow really, really fast due to fast rotation time. As I mentioned, 9.9 hours. Due to that, the clouds move really fast. And as you know, when things move really fast, they become a blur. So just like that, the clouds also become a blur, just like any other thing would. Jupiter also has rings. So now we know that Saturn is not a unique planet. Actually, except for Neptune, all the other gas giants do have rings. But except for Saturn, Uranus and Jupiter both have fainter rings. While Uranus rings are still visible, Jupiter are the dimmest, and they're the color of the Jupiter center on which they're based. So they're not that clearly visible. They're made of ice, rock, and dust. And Jupiter, what a record holder. It has a record in the highest number of moons of any planet in our solar system. What's the number? Don't ask me. 67 and counting. 67 and counting. And each one more crazy than the next. They are so different from our own moon. For example, there are some of the moons which are very commonly known are Ganymede, Europa, Io, and Callisto. Ganymede has about 3 times as much water as the Earth. Combined all water spawns, that is water vapor, ice, and liquid water, like 3 times more than the Earth. And we see that Earth has a lot of water. Europa, it's covered in ice, as thick as the Antarctic ice sheet, 2 miles. But under that ice sheet, there is an ocean about 10 times deeper than the Mariana Trench, the deepest area of the Earth. That is why we think that Europa is another place where there could be possibilities of life, because there's water, and there's an ocean, so there might be enough chemical changes which might cause evolution of life, and there's water which contains oxygen, which helps living organisms to respire. Io, it spews ice, dust, and rock, which you might think make the rings of Jupiter. It usually is 36 giant volcanoes on its surface. Callisto is relatively new, so there isn't any crazy thing about it that we know of, but if we get it, I'll be sure to update the video. And Jupiter, even though it's very unique in our solar system, there are many different Jupiter-like planets, such as one in the constellation Aquila, Aquila, is COROT-2b. It is a Jupiter-like planet. It also has a blur. It also has a blur on its surface, but it's also vastly different at the same time. It looks the same as Jupiter, its size is around the same, but the difference is the heat. You are asking about temperature. You're thinking, how high could the temperature be? Not more than Venus. Well, the temperature, if you want to know, is much hotter than Venus. It actually nears the temperature of the sun's photosphere or in a sunspot, which is the coolest part of the sun's surface. The temperature is 1,226.67 degrees Celsius. And I thought 45 degrees Celsius was too hot. So unfortunately, guys, that's going to be the end of the video. Leave a like, subscribe, and don't forget to share this video. And be sure to tap the bell icon so you never miss an episode. And with that, Milad out.